This is a Pinewood Derby. Hundreds of thousands of them have hosted an estimated 100 million derby cars since the early 1950s. Some of those derbies went really well, and some of them could have gone better. So to help you, here are 4 general things that can help almost any event, and then 6 specific steps we've done for the past 4 years to make our derby a fun experience for everyone. Now, while all derbies vary in specifics like the amount of participants, type of track, event location, and other things, every Pinewood Derby has 2 things in common. One is developing healthy sportsmanship, and the other is make it fun. You can make it fun for everybody by making it easy to participate. Really easy. So easy that it's incredibly tough not to have fun. Starting from when they hear about it for the first time, all the way through the event. Easy and fun. And that includes you having fun. Seriously, easy? How could it be easy? There's so many moving parts and then details. I'm already overwhelmed. Okay, which brings us to point 2. Get organized. Develop a plan and schedule that takes into account that you have other things going on in life. Write everything down and don't try to remember anything. The great news is this event has been going on since the 1950s, so you don't have to start from scratch. Talk to people that have done this in the past for your group and find out if they had a process or system to get it done. Use that as a starting point, make changes if you want, and then talk someone through your plan. Does your plan and schedule make sense to them? Could it be better? And if none of that is possible, you can click the link down in the description for the schedule and to-do list I've developed and used over the years. Organization and an achievable schedule can be your friends, but they don't have to be your only friends, which brings us to recruit and delegate. There is no way you're going to be able to do all this on your own, or that you have to do it all by yourself. So ask for help and get others to volunteer. A great way to jumpstart assembling your team is with the list of last year's volunteers. Regardless, figure out what small portion of details on your plan sound like fun to you and keep that on your list. With the rest of it, start looking for others that can help. If you don't enjoy financials or buying supplies or other stuff, there's a really good chance that someone else does. By bringing others into the project, you're taking stuff off your plate that isn't fun for you and giving it to someone that would have fun doing it. Seriously, if you're leading the event, then you're responsible for it. But instead of being a micromanaging leader doing all the details, you can be a leader that leads by asking others, how's your part of the project going? Do you need anything? And if you want to take it even further, give larger chunks away to people and ask them to recruit volunteers for parts of it. Then you're not the only one recruiting volunteers, everything gets delegated quicker, and there's more opportunities for more people to have fun, including you. There are a lot of smart people in the world, so when delegating tasks, give your volunteers a few objectives, any insights you can pass along, and have them take it from there. Check in frequently and make sure they know you're available to talk in case they have any questions. We use an online sign up for people to register, and while emailing a link to that will get you some volunteers, I'd recommend also making phone calls. It's a better way to get in front of people to ask for help. A mass email is easy to ignore, while a personal phone call will get their attention. Start with something like, hey, this is Dave, the parent volunteer in charge of Pinewood Derby this year, and we have a fun and easy volunteer role for you. Tell them what you'd like them to do, and if they say yes, send a short and simple email that thanks them for volunteering and a link to the sign up. Speaking of which, stick to short and simple communication. For everyone, all forms of communication are kept short and simple, very short and simple. Handouts for scouts and emails for adults are short and keep to the main points like times, locations, and what needs to be done. Volunteer recruitment phone calls stick to a simple outline, so you don't give them too much information while they're trying to multitask. People with responsibility for children probably have some multitasking going on. You're probably multitasking right now, or too little information and they think you're trying to sell them shares of a Pinewood forest somewhere. Signage at events are big, simple, and everywhere. Stick to the things that everybody needs to know, and if 1 or 2 people have more questions, you can answer them individually. Short, simple communication. Those general tips are going to help you regardless of the situation. And from here, we get into specific key steps for our Cub Scout PAX Pinewood Derby. Reserve the space. There isn't much to this one, but it's really important. Confirm months ahead of time that the building locations and times you're expecting to have been reserved, including time for setup and teardown. If there are people that you'll need to talk with to access rooms, equipment, or whatever else, get in contact with them sooner rather than later and introduce yourself. Bonus tip, depending on the room reservation technology the building administrator uses, it wouldn't hurt to reconfirm everything a month out, just in case. Kit handout. Ah, the Derby kit. It's a thing of beautiful potential. About 8 to 10 weeks before the event, every participant gets one of their very own. To do that, the Cub Master gets me the scout list, I ask our purchasing volunteer to get that amount, and then each kit gets stickered with a scout's name, their den number, and then they're all sorted into bags by den to be given to den leaders to distribute. When the scouts get their kit, they also receive a one-pager that tells them dates, times, and locations for the weigh-ins and race, general derby rules, the theme, and awards for that year. The same day kits get handed out, an email is sent to all adults with the same information, and a few more details like suggestions on how to build a car, and a link to Mark Rober's video on how to make it fast. Because parents knowing those things make the next step way easier. Weigh-in. We have check-ins separate from Derby Day for 2 consecutive nights to make it easier for people with busy schedules. Since some scouts have multiple activities, some adults have multiple kids, and some families have multiple kids that all have multiple activities. The second night is always the busiest, so we schedule twice as many volunteers to keep things moving smoothly. Because waiting in a long line is not fun. The volunteer roles are shape to make sure height, length, and width are to code. Mechanic helps make simple changes to the cars that don't quite meet requirements. Weight manages the scale and gives scouts the race day info card. After a car passes inspection, the registrar puts a sticker on the bottom of it that has the same info as the sticker that was put on the kit box months ago, enters the car information into the race software, and then stores it for safekeeping until the event. Since I like doing that part, I'm the registrar both nights. To make things easy for the volunteers, the responsibilities of each role are printed and taped nearby for reference. Bonus tip, have a scale the mechanic area that is the same as the official scale, so scouts can weigh it there, make adjustments, and don't have to get back in the check-in line until they know it'll pass. Because failing check-in multiple times is not fun. After that, there's a few days to double check details before it's time for Derby setup. For the location we get to use, we usually have about 3 hours to set everything up. A previous year, I had taken a picture of the room setup for future reference. This year, we had gotten a new track, and I knew that was going to take all of my time to connect and test. So with that picture and the setup list, it was really easy for volunteers to know what needed to be done while I focused on setting up the track. Drop cloths got spread out and taped down for the pit stop area because there is no such thing as using just a little graphite. Chairs were placed with plenty of space to move around and as many chairs as possible close to the track for easy viewing. On-deck mats make it easier for scouts to line up for their race. Caution tape to protect the track and electronics. Cars got displayed. Secondary entertainment area prepped. Snack shop stocked. Race schedule hung in a couple of places. Finish line camera, projector, microphone, and other electronics connected and running. We asked the first group of volunteers to show up 20 minutes before the race starts. I train the ones that are part of making the racetrack experience flow smoothly, since I'm the lead volunteer for that area, while lead volunteers in other areas are training their volunteers. As finishing touches are being completed, it's time for race time. Since our pack has about 120 scouts participating, we split the day into 2 events, with younger scouts racing first and older scouts second. This increases the fun because scouts get to race more times with less waiting in between their races. It's easier to recruit volunteers because of the lower time commitment, and we're able to include more volunteers so more people can can have fun. If our pack was a lot smaller, we would have everyone participating at the same time. When volunteers arrive, they're given a lanyard for their role that includes the 1 or 2 goals they need to achieve, and the names of other people that are volunteering for that role for the first and second event. At the end of the first event, those volunteers train the next group of volunteers. For each role, the number of volunteers is double what is needed, so everyone can easily step away to watch their kid race. Last-minute cancellations aren't as big of a deal, and no one gets overwhelmed with a task because they're working with others. Because getting stressed out isn't fun. Greeters answer questions, hand out, and eventually count fan favorite ballots. Pit stop supervisors lower the chances that area becomes a chaotic cloud of graphite. Snack shop supervisors manage the snacks and money. Race marshals get racers organized and place the cars on the track. Finish line supervisors make sure every racer gets their car back and keeps the finish line clear of spectators. Secondary experience volunteers help run the pre-planned activities. And lastly, there's someone running the race software, which is me. This is the one role where it doesn't make things any easier to have 2 people doing it. So that is the perfect place to have the person who will take over running the derby observing, asking me questions and jumping in wherever needed. Both events have an open race in the beginning, so siblings can bring their cars and compete. Our Cub Master announces who's on deck, so they can go get their cars from the garage and get in line. When it's their turn, they hand their car to the race marshal, go to the finish line, watch their race, get their car back, take it back to the garage, and wait for their next heat. To pass the time between heats, there's a secondary entertainment area where scouts and siblings can make stuff, a pit stop to add just a little more graphite, a snack shop, and all kids can cast a vote for their favorite car. In between the 2 events is the awards ceremony for design category winners. Fastest cars for the dens in the first event and first event fan favorite. After the second event, the fastest cars for the entire pack are announced, along with second event den winners and second event fan favorite. Since I tend to be more of an introvert, by this time I'm tired and ready for teardown. Like setup, have a to-do list available for volunteers to reference, since there will be a lot going on all at once. Teardown volunteers are asked to bring their vacuums from home to make things move quicker than just using the one vacuum in the janitor's closet. Beyond cleaning everything up, take the time to pack the track equipment well, because it might be a year before it sees the light of day again. After that, congratulations, you did it! Pinewood went great. From here, there's one final bonus step. Observe and feedback. Sleep well, and the next day, think through what worked and what didn't. What would you change? What should you, or whoever is in charge next year, do differently? Also, send those questions to your awesome volunteers. They'll give you a different perspective. Plus, they'll feel appreciated knowing you want to know what they think. And don't forget to thank them for volunteering and sharing their time. It wouldn't have happened without them. Once you've absorbed all the feedback, take notes that'll make sense 9 months from now. And set a calendar reminder to look at them while preparing for next year's derby, or pass the notes along to your successor so they can benefit from your earned experience. For us, what worked really well this year was having more volunteers the second night of weigh-in, and making all of our signage, volunteer tags, and other documents reusable from year to year. There's a link below for those documents too. What didn't work really well was the finish line camera and television. It just wasn't necessary because of the other changes that made it easier for more people to see the finish line. Speaking of finish lines, the main point is to make it fun for everyone, including you. So get organized, recruit, delegate, keep your communication short and simple. All of that will make it fun and easy for you to make for others.